Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today I want to take a look at the returning player rewards. These are what you get for leaving the game if you go on vacation, or if you lose your phone, or if for some reason you just can't play for an extended period of time and you come back to the game. What can you expect Netmarble to give you, and how can you expect to use these items to catch up in the game? In order to demonstrate this, obviously I couldn't do it on my main account because I can't miss a day, so I did it on my alt account, my free-to-play account with Discount Drake. That's why he hadn't been able to log in for more than 15 days. For those of you who are unaware, the returning user reward, which is what you see there on the far right, is the first reward, maybe the only reward, for not logging into the game for 15 consecutive days. It's not just any 15 days, it has to be 15 days in a row. So let's go and see the overall rewards. These are this is the energy from the regular 1 month reward. We have our 7-day check-in as part of the update 3.6 loot box fiasco, and then we have the returning user reward. So I left the game for 15 days and I come back, and this is what I'm going to end up getting, which is very similar, if not exactly the same, as the new user rewards. It's a 6-star character selector, mega mastery ticket, XP chips, gear up kits, dimension debris, 2.5 million gold, and then a tier 2 advancement ticket. Now, I just want to start by saying that there is no way, even for a brand new player, that these rewards outweigh the benefits of playing for 15 days straight. You know, 15 days of grinding for character XP, doing dimension rifts and getting all of those. I mean, 15 days just getting the dimension rift clears to get that 200 dimension debris as part of your second rift clear. 15 times 200 is already, you know, more than the 2100 you get there. It's pretty close. But if you just play for 15 days, even probably by about the 12th day, you'll have had more time and more things done to collect more than this for what you get in return for not playing the game. But it's interesting to see because it shows us a couple of things. For starters, it shows us where Netmarble's perspective is on these things. Do they want returning players to have a huge jumpstart back into the game, or do they want to give returning players just enough to kind of keep them going, but not too much that it then becomes an incentive to quit for 15 days and then come back and then do that repeatedly? Because in the past, it was actually beneficial at times to do that. Now, in the past, Netmarble used to run a lot more events and kind of 3 to 5 day kind of faction battles and stuff like that. So there were additional rewards that really discouraged people from doing that. But when Netmarble started to move away from that, started to have less frequent events, less frequent kind of limited time offers and login kind of quests, fewer battle worlds as we now see, it kind of came back in vogue to kind of quit the game for 15 days to intentionally trigger this returning user reward. But I think this is a pretty decent list of rewards. I wish that the 6-star Mega Mastery ticket was a little bit better because it's kind of useless. If it was a Nornstone Selector, it would be a lot better, even if it wasn't the full 600 Nornstones. If it was just 300, you'd get fewer overall, but you could put them towards an epic quest, for example. The reason, or the main part of this returning user reward that I think is really flawed, is that it doesn't get you anywhere closer to unlocking any native tier 2 characters. There's no black antimatter here. The amount of gold that you get is very low. I mean, you need north of 40 million gold just to unlock a native tier 2 character and rank them up. So 2.5 million gold is not putting any dent in that number. There's no Chaos Nornstones, and there's just nothing to progress in that sense. There's obviously no Emkron crystals or Phoenix feathers, so this really only fits for the core characters. It doesn't even help you with epic quests, as there are no blue, green, purple or red stones to use towards the researches. So that's something that I think Netmarble could definitely look into improving for this. If they don't take anything else away from this video, they should at least replace the day 3 rewards. I think that 325 XP chips is a joke. It takes about 1500, like 5 times that many XP chips, to get one character to level 60. So you're giving basically 20% of a character's total XP as part of a returning user reward. 20% for one character is basically next to nothing. If you compare that to how many gear up kits you're getting for a character's gear, if you compare that to how many dimension debris you're getting for a character's gear, that far outweighs the 325 level 5 XP chips. So I would probably scrap that reward and I would put in there, like 500 black antimatter or 250 chaos nornstones. It's obviously a much better reward, but it would fit more closely and align more closely with where a returning user is going to be, because returning users aren't always people who just stopped playing for 15 days. They can also 18 days, excuse me. There can also be reasons for people having quit for months or even for more than a year. So it's nice to see, it would be nice to see it, we don't see it now, but it would be nice to see that Netmarble recognizes where the game is at this point, and the fact that it's basically assumed that you have a lot of black antimatter and a lot of chaos nornstones right from the get-go. And if you don't, your primary focus along with Shadowlands is just farming as much of that as you can between World Boss, when they have World Boss Dimension Rift events, World Boss Ultimate, and so that really should be reflected more accurately in the returning user rewards. But this is something that I was curious about as well, and I wanted to see what other kind of bonuses or tutorials they would have bundled in, and apparently we get these boosters. So you probably didn't know about this. I didn't know about this. You get 7 days of shield XP plus 100% and 7 days of character XP. So now this actually makes the 325 level 5 XP chips even more of a useless gift for the day 3 returning user rewards. You're giving me 100% character XP, which again makes the XP chips essentially useless, and why not change them? So I like these boosts. I think they're pretty clever. The 100 energy is pretty much useless. I would rather have 50 energy per day for all 7 days. No thank you. But it's nice to see that they are giving those away, and I guess they're going to be found in, not the notice tab, but in the gift tab. So yeah, we've got the first reward here, a 6-star character selector, which I honestly don't know who to choose for this. So if you guys can give me some suggestions, look up Discount Drake and check out who I have. I can actually briefly show you who I have. We also logged in to collect these free crystals as part of the 3.6 update boycott for the loot boxes. I didn't want these to expire, so I am collecting them before that happens. But let me know who you think I should get with the 6-star selector. Obviously, we want to pick someone who is more exclusive, but these are my characters. I can go through them fairly quickly so you can get a good glimpse of it. We don't want to pick somebody that we've already unlocked, so barring those characters, we're looking at the ones down here through this list. It's a pretty long list, but yeah, we're going to get one of these characters to 6 stars, preferably someone who's good at tier 1. Right from the start. I wish we could pick one of the X-Men. Maybe Heimdall. Who knows? But yeah, so that's the returning player rewards, and I wanted to check that out to see how much Netmarble gives, and also how much Netmarble helps players adjust back into the game. I am surprised that there isn't any sort of catch-up mechanic or any sort of kind of tutorial or reintroduction to the game aside from the boosted XP for characters and shield level and the small bit of energy, the 100 energy that they give you. I mean, they could throw you a couple extra free hero chests, like 2 or 3. I mean, I've missed 18 free hero chests, so giving me back 10% of that is really no big deal to them. They would have been giving it to me anyways. They could have done something like stockpiled the antimatter generator, for example. I'm just throwing some ideas out there, but it would be interesting to see, because we know there's already a tutorial for the game when you first start, but there is no returning tutorial, and that is another thing that I wanted to talk about, because I do see that a lot on the Reddit, and I see a lot of that in the comment section both on Twitch and on YouTube. Hey, I just came back to the game, who should I invest in? Hey, I just started up my game again, I reinstalled, and I'm having trouble figuring out who's the best hero, who should I go for? So it would be cool if, Netmarble has all of this data that they hide behind certain triggers, right? So if I press this claim all button, or this claim button, I can see here the percentage of people that are selecting different characters. And this is illuminating both positively and negatively. It kind of helps and hurts me. For starters, it's overestimating the value of someone like Ghost Rider. 20% of people thumbed up Ghost Rider. I think that's pretty inaccurate, Netmarble. But Netmarble does do things correctly, because when you start the game, and if you have been watching this free-to-play series since the beginning, it strongly recommends that your first character choice is Sharon Rogers. So they know deep down who you should be choosing. So I would like to see Netmarble kind of provide some kind of brief game guide and like, hey, here's how we catch you up, using maybe character rankings, using those selection rankings that are more accurate, not suggesting Ghost Rider, and just giving the player a very brief breakdown of almost like a meta snapshot in place of some of my videos that obviously would not be shown in this game. They could show the usage rate for certain heroes, and the thing is, they have all of this data in the game. It's just that it has to be found by the player, and in the case of a returning player, they're not going to go looking for this kind of stuff. But you can go over to missions and you can see from the different fights and the different even game modes which characters are being used. So Sharon Rogers is still dominating story mode. World Boss, this is the most dominant team. I don't know why Mordo's there, but it's just for the team up. Okay, here's another example. Oh, what a surprise. Quicksilver is the king of timeline, and Spider-Man comes in at number 2. So these kinds of stats, if they could just bring a returning player to this page, for example, hey, we think you should check out the character ranking, and they could just have a big arrow pointing down. Hey, go over here. And you can click it and then say, hey, go over to story, check these out. Maybe you want to invest in some of these characters. And then they could even use this as a way of trying to get you to buy certain things in the game. Maybe you should buy Loki's new uniform because the usage rate is so high. Maybe you should buy one of our... No, I'm not going to say that. You wish. Maybe you should get Sharon Rogers to tier 2 if you don't already have her tier 2. Hey, maybe you should start getting your epic quest. How far are you in the epic quest? And there's all these different ways for them to kind of cross talk and use the data and use kind of advertising that's already built into the game through players utilizing different characters, and use that as a way of funneling new and returning players to new content to kind of encourage them. Because if there were no YouTube channels about this game, if there was no Reddit about this game, there really wouldn't be a lot of information out there in a centralized place. It would all be diffused across smaller kind of websites and forums, and it would be much harder to find and to get really good, consistent information from. And so in light of that, knowing that, Netmarble could take a lot of steps to improve this so that it was much more user friendly for returning players. So I think there's a lot of untapped potential here. I'm surprised they didn't do that, because they do take the time to give you that booster that we see here, the returning player character and shield XP requirement that I'm going to be using now to try to catch up, because I've got a lot of catching up to do, let's be honest. But I still think there's a lot of gaps in this system, and Netmarble could definitely improve this system as part of update 3.7 or a different update down the road. But I think it is very important, because as we see games like Marvel Heroes shut down unexpectedly, there will be, if there hasn't already been, an influx of new characters or players, and perhaps a return of a lot of players who had put this game down for another game, or just because they got tired of it. And so improving these returning player screens and suggestions and kind of catch-up mechanics is really important to maintaining the player base, and also growing the player base out of both new and kind of veteran newbie players that are coming back after a long absence, and who basically have next to no idea where they should be focusing their efforts in the game now, because we know the game changes so fast, the meta shifts month after month, and Netmarble could do a lot to help that shift and ease that shift, so that players don't come into the game and have to spend hours reading through posts to figure out what's going on. So those are my thoughts and my feelings behind the returning player rewards, and how I would feel and how I would be impacted by this game should I, or would I, return to it after an absence of, you know, however long, 2 weeks, a month, 6 months, a year. Let me know if you're a returning player, and if you appreciate the amount of free stuff you get from Netmarble, or if you think they could do more as I suggested. If there's different things that I didn't think of aside from Black Antimatter, aside from Chaos Nornstones, that they could realistically give. Of course, they're not going to give away thousands of crystals and mega tier 2 tickets, free uniforms, but perhaps they would have a uniform selector ticket as one of the free items that you get as a returning player, just to give you that incentive. Hey, we're giving you a free uniform. And it could even be among the crappier uniforms that they think they want to sell you as part of the 40% discount. Don't buy any of these uniforms, by the way. They're mostly terrible. But let me know nonetheless. And also, if you just didn't know about this content in the first place, if you have never stopped playing, so you've never had an opportunity to see what the returning player rewards look like, let me know as well. Subscribe if you're enjoying the content. I'm in Korea. And of course, if you like what you see, I hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care.